I'm Stephen Foskett, organizer of Tech Field Day and Gestalt IT, and we are here in Las Vegas at AWS reInvent in 2019. We are catching up with some of the companies that we know from our Tech Field Day days and our Gestalt IT days, and of course that leads us to the fine folks from Veeam. So I am here with David Hill. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm David Hill. I'm a global technologist in the Veeam product strategy group, working on Kubernetes, cloud native products, and pretty much everything that's coming next with Veeam.
Yeah, and so I love the fact that I get to talk to somebody like yourself because, of course, you're not just looking at what comes next with Veeam, you're looking at what comes next with the industry.
Yes.
And so we're at an event like this, and you're looking at, I know, of course, that you're, you got to think about Veeam, but I know also that you're looking at talking to people and finding out what their interests are and how their jobs are changing and how their perspectives are changing. And what are you seeing from the end users here when they're, obviously Amazon's launching all these new things and all this, new services and everything like that, but what are real people interested in here?
Yeah, that's a great question, because a lot of the people I'm talking to as I'm going around are talking about, obviously, Amazon AWS and what they want to do and all the new announcements around machine learning. But when it comes back to their jobs, they're really struggling with how they manage this new multi-cloud world, but also how they incorporate a lot of the SaaS offerings as well. So things like Office 365 and Salesforce, how they can manage that data and just generally how they integrate all those different services and all these offerings from all these different companies. And it's a real challenge for these people because in the old days, it was pretty simple. You built some servers, you deployed some apps, and you managed them, and the people would pretty much look after those servers. They knew all their names. And now it's a case of, well, we have all these employees who are inputting all this data into Salesforce and managing all the deals, and it's so critical to integrating that with the services, even just simple things like single sign-on, integrating it all. And people are just so concerned about it, and it's amazing when you're talking to people because you think that things are meant to get easier and less complex, but now with all these different offerings and capabilities from all these different vendors, it's becoming more complex and more difficult to manage. And some people are actually quite frightened about it, which I found quite interesting when talking to them.
Well, I think that they should be frightened, especially if they don't have an answer for the problem, because of course, if you're an enterprise with data in 30 different SaaS offerings and 2 different clouds and your own data center, there are huge risks here. There are massive risks to the business, financial, legal, I worry about compliance. And it's funny because I wouldn't say that it's, oh, you shouldn't use these things because there's a risk to them. But I do worry that maybe people haven't considered or weighed those risks and figured out ways to mitigate them.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. I remember when I used to work for VMware in the vCloud Air days, some guy put a VM in the cloud and he said, well, I put it in the cloud, it's secure. And I was like, okay, so what are you doing to secure it? And he went, well, nothing. I've set my firewall rules to any. It's in the cloud. It's safe. And I actually turned around and I said to him, that's not how it works. You've still got to manage this. And he was genuinely shocked. He thought, well, if I put everything in the cloud, it's going to be safe. And it's the same with the data, But a lot of people think, well, if I put this out in Salesforce, if I put this in Office 365, the vendors are going to look after it, and that's not the case. And it's the same with like application architecture and how you then build your network infrastructure and architecture to integrate all these services, because if you've got a lot of employees and a lot of users who are trying to leverage this with poor bandwidth, going off on a bit of a network tangent, you need to make sure that you've got the actual infrastructure to be able to operate these SaaS services, even though they're just running out at what people tend to perceive as a web server. Lots and lots of access, lots of data getting uploaded, spreadsheets uploaded and downloaded, and of course emails. We've all been there with that problem for the past 30 years. So the concepts haven't changed. It's the way that people are deploying them and managing them and consuming them that's changed.
Yeah. And it seems that that's, you know, I don't want to say wide open space because, of course, a lot of companies are trying to address these problems. But it seems like there's a lot of opportunity for a company who can, you know, try to address different clouds and SaaS and so on. So is this a direction you think that companies like Veeam are going to be going? I mean, is this somewhere that you're already going?
Yeah, so from a Veeam perspective, we already offer support for Microsoft Office 365. From a data protection perspective, we can protect all your emails in essentially Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive, we can protect all that. And then from a strategy perspective, you know, looking forward, things like Salesforce, that's mission critical to every business now. So offerings around Salesforce, it's certainly something that we're looking at and working towards. And then again, with the whole multi-cloud aspect, how we can deliver capabilities around multi-cloud and protecting not just the data as well, but also what we can do to help businesses manage that data. So the data classifications, things like GDPR. You know, we've seen lots of things about the EU offering fines out to Google recently, you know, billions of dollars because they're not doing it the right way. Businesses are scared of that. So we've, as Veeam, as a company, want to be able to help customers mitigate against data loss, but also data compliance as well.
Yeah, and that's something that I studied. I spent a couple of years doing litigation readiness consulting.
Oh,
and
wow.
so, you know, compliance of data and applications in the data center was a big enough challenge. I can't imagine compliance, you know, in SaaS.
Yeah.
And I mean, heck, not to get political on you, but this is a topic for national news and international news. You know, they use this, you know, email system. They use this texting or messaging system. You know, how do we know that those messages were saved? You know, can we produce them in court? Can we prove that they're produced correctly? Can we show even little things like which time zone was this and stuff like that? All this stuff comes up. And from a litigation perspective, that stuff is just incredibly important.
Yeah, and it's a real valid threat as well. So data sprawl, it's a real thing now. You know, even just personally, like you look at your iPhone photos and you save them to Dropbox, you save them to Google Drive, you save them to iCloud. They just go everywhere now, and managing those just as on a personal level is a challenge. And then as a business, your employees, what are they doing? You know, are they using OneDrive? Are they using Dropbox? Are they putting stuff out on their own environments? Being able to make sure that that's secure, and then when you bring in compliance concerns like HIPAA and like financial regulations as well, and longevity of the data, keeping patient records for like 7 years. As you say, it was a challenge when it was in your own data center. Now with all these different vendors and environments, it's a big headache for businesses. And that's what we as Veeam want to do, is essentially help companies manage that data and essentially put their minds at rest so they can know that they're compliant with their regulations for their industries.
Yeah. And with that in mind, you know, you did just make an announcement here. You know, it's AWS reInvent, so you're backing up AWS instances.
Yes. So we announced a product today called Veeam Backup for AWS, and the initial release, it's gone general available today, and the initial release is free for 10 instances, and then in the coming weeks we're going to be releasing the paid version and also the version that will integrate with our flagship product, Veeam Backup and Replication, so you can bring your own licenses and integrate and essentially migrate your backups that you're taking in AWS to other cloud platforms, out to on-prem environments like vSphere and Hyper-V and Nutanix as well. So really exciting day for us as Veeam with this announcement. And from a personal perspective, it's a product I've been working on for quite a few months. So it's a real great day for us.
Mm-hmm. So to clarify, this thing is backing up what, EBS?
So EC2 instances. It's basically for cloud native applications that are being developed in AWS. So we back up EC2 instances. We leverage Amazon S3 as the backup repository. So you basically take backups. You can take snapshots as well, so automated snapshots through Amazon EBS snapshots, and then you can take those snapshots and we can actually store backups in the Amazon S3 repository as well to give you another location. So cloud native workloads built in Amazon EC2, we can back up all those instances. So it's really cool.
And you mentioned free.
Yes.
So this is part of Veeam's legacy. The reason that Veeam was successful in the first place is because Veeam developed a lot of free products that a lot of sysadmins got to know and use and love. And then eventually, they started using the paid products as well.
Yes.
But to me, it's music for my ears to know that as sort of an AWS hobbyist, I could use Veeam Backup for free.
Yeah.
For just a few instances, running it into my S3 to protect that data. I have to pay for my S3, of course,
Yes.
but it means that I could actually have decent data protection for my non-enterprise products as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's free for up to 10 instances. So you get all the features, all the capabilities, so policy-based management of your backups, your restores of your backups, you can restore to any location, and totally free for up to 10 instances. Once you go past 10 instances, then you would start to pay for the product. And that's what Veeam wants to do. Is it's not just about making money, it's about helping people actually use the tools that they're using. And for small businesses, 10 instances is a perfect amount for them to protect that data. And then also with our free products with Veeam Backup and Replication, we offer the same capabilities on-prem. And with the integration of these, both products are free. You can leverage them for those 10 instances and do whatever you want with them, and there's no charge. And that's really central to what Veeam does, is just to help businesses along, small businesses get the same capabilities that they expect from large enterprises who pay a lot of money for their data protection.
Yeah, well, that's just great, and I actually look forward to trying that out. I probably should be using the on-premises backup as well.
You should.
Yeah, no, right now I'm copying data, with shell scripts, so that's probably not the best way to protect my data. Well, there we go. All right, so I've admitted it. Well, that's great. So it's nice to see you. I'm glad that we can see you here. We just saw Veeam at our Tech Field Day event in November. The video of that is online at youtube.com/techfieldday, along with a lot of other Veeam presentations. And I have a feeling we're going to see you all next year as well at Tech Field Day.
Yes, we'll be there. Cloud Field Day is one of our favorites, and Tech Field Day is one of our favorite events. So we'll definitely be there next year.
So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for watching. It's been great to catch up with some of our friendly companies here at AWS reInvent 2019. David, where can we learn more about this Veeam product offering?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about Veeam Backup for AWS, if you go to veeam.com, all the information on the new releases and announcements that we've had today are all on there.
Okay, and that's where they can sign up for this free version?
So the free version is in the AWS Marketplace. So log into your AWS account, go to the AWS Marketplace and just search for Veeam. And then you can instantly deploy that product into your EC2 environment and start backing up your workloads within about 10 minutes.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. And if you'd like to learn more about this video series, you can go to gestaltit.com, where you'll find news and information. You can also find the On-Premise IT Roundtable podcast and the weekly rundown of IT news. If you go to YouTube and search for Gestalt IT, you'll find a lot more videos like this. Thanks for joining us.